been. The Steelers looking to make some moves.
This looked like the steel curtain Steelers back in
It
the
sure
day.
did.
Boy, the way
Game
they
tied
played
at
today
7.
now.
Look
Wow.
at this pressure on Daniel Jones.
Yes.
Intercepted by Payton Wilson. Great D by the Steelers off the interception. Aaron Rodgers, Pat Freiermuth, touchdown. 14-7 Pittsburgh. Now late in the third, Colts down 17-7. Wilson pass deflected. Wow, that was random.
Yes.
Gets deflected right in the hands of Jack Sawyer. Another interception. What a play by Wilson and Sawyer. Right place, right time there. Wilson with that deflection. And then Jaylen Warren finishing them off. There's a touchdown right there. Steelers go on to win this one 27-20. Here's Mike.
It was a tough week, but we certainly deserved it based on the last performance. I like the way the guys absorbed it, smiled in the face of it, and prepared and waited for the next opportunity. That's the National Football League, man. You get one shot about every 7 days, and sometimes you got to wear it. We certainly wore it this week. I'm appreciative of their spirit, their efforts, their resolve. Certainly we weren't perfect in any of the 3 phases, but we fought. We did what was necessary. We made plays. And so it's a big-time win for the collective.
This was a really important win for us, though, to not lose 3 in a row, to not go to 1-3 at home, and to kind of get that big elephant that was starting to try and jump on the backs of the defense, which is made up of media and, you know, outside conversation about them. So we're all human, and I think those guys felt, you know, pretty upset, had a little red ass about what's been going on. So I'm proud of them, the way they came back and responded.
To turn it over as many times as we did today, you're gonna have a tough time winning. So obviously that's on me. I got to protect the ball better and make sure we're giving ourselves a chance. I thought we did some good things at times, but just, you know, turnovers and some of those things I gotta clean up and make sure we're not hurting ourselves.
Yeah, hard to win with 5 turnovers. Colts finally fell back to earth after what's been an incredible start to the season. The 20 points ties their fewest in a game this season, and their 6 turnovers, is more than they had in every other game combined. Indy is now 0-2 when being held to 20 or fewer points. Now, Coach, we've seen the Colts roll and roll and roll all season. What did you see from them today?
Well, let's give the Colts a lot of credit. They got out to won 7 games, lost 1, and at times you think, Danny Dimes, he was in New York, and he was Indiana Jones when he went to the Colts, and you thought maybe he was Dan Marino, but no, he's not Dan Marino. But they go to Pittsburgh, and I said this about this week when they were going to Pittsburgh. This will be a test for them because they're going to go play the Steelers, who had just lost at home. So that's already gets the Steelers upset, losing at home. They're not losing 2 at home. Yeah. But they were dominant on defense. I mean, this was a defense that all of a sudden, it reminded me of the Pittsburgh Steelers, like, They hit him. They sacked him. They took the ball away. After about the second quarter, it wasn't fair. They had no shot. The Pittsburgh Steelers physically beat them up, beat the team that had the best record in the National Football League. The Colts were 7-1. Now, you're going to find out a lot about the Colts after this beating. How do they react?
Yeah, that's a good point, because we've seen this with Daniel Jones in the past, right?
Yes.
Once you start beating him up, his game starts to shift. So we'll see if he can end up sustaining what he's been doing and maybe put this one in the trash. Now, let's talk about the AFC North.
Oh, boy.
The Steelers, we're at the midway point in the NFL season. How do you judge the state of this division?
Well, at one point, you looked at the division, you said, let me get this right. The Ravens have lost, they only had, they had 5 losses.
Yep.
And all of a sudden, Lamar Jackson comes back and goes, Ravens, well, wait a minute. Pittsburgh Steelers was kind of swanning around, and all of a sudden, they won a couple games, and all of a sudden, this defense kind of shows up again. You go, Pittsburgh Steelers. So now, when you look at this division, Cincinnati, Joe Flacco will be competitive to keep it, but I don't think they can overtake these 2 teams. The Cleveland Browns, we know the Cleveland Browns are going through their quarterback situation. But right now, it's probably a 2-team race, Pittsburgh and the Baltimore Ravens. And 5 weeks ago, you wouldn't have said that.
But the Ravens, though, I mean, what are they, still 2-6, or excuse me, 3-5 there?
Yeah.
Can they really come back and make noise?
Did you see the way they played?
Yeah, exactly. Am I forgetting they have Lamar Jackson?
The Lamar's back, and their defense showed up again.
That's true. That's
right.
true.
I mean, so now all of a sudden you look at it, and you go, I said the same thing. I said they're out. They got no shot. Well, wait a minute, not so fast. There's a lot of football left.
There is.
It's going to be fun down the stretch.
There is. It's so tempting to get just in the
27-20. Let's take a look at the leading tacklers because defense was big today. When you forced 6 turnovers, I know one of them was a gift by Indianapolis on the muff punt, but still, you're making a difference. How about 14 tackles for Payton Wilson, including that interception? Also, the batted pass that led to another interception. Joey Porter Jr. had an active day. I thought Brendan Eccles played a good game, knowing that they relied on him, and both Queen and Ramsey also with big numbers. Let's hear from JPJ after the game and after an interception late in this game.
I mean, yeah, but we already knew what we was capable of, so this was a statement game for us as a defense. As we didn't like what we put out on film the last 2 weeks, so we had to come out and make a point, and I think we did today.
No turnovers the last 3 games. You guys had 6 today. You had one of them. I mean, how do you do that? How does that happen?
I left some out there, so I'm pretty mad about that. But I'm just glad that we was all flying around, making plays and getting turnovers. I feel like that's what we was missing these past 2 weeks. We didn't have no turnovers on defense, and we had 6 today. So I feel like that was a real main factor.
What was the key? What does it say about this defense that you're able to do this down so many safeties and dealing with injuries coming into this one?
That's really just a shout out to 5 and Duggar. You know, Duggar just came in this week. He had to learn a lot of the playbook, and he came out. He did what he had to do. So it was really hats off to him. 5 haven't played safety in like college, so the fact that he played a whole game of safety, shouts out to them boys. They had us in the right checks all game, and it really couldn't happen without them.
So is there a big difference you noticed in practice this week, something that might have been different from last year?
I mean, not really. We always fly around with urgency, but it was really just a lock-in point for us. I feel like we all knew what we had to do on the field and what we're capable of. It was really just talking about going back to that steel curtain, that gritty, that mean-mouth football that we're trying to get back and trying to find, and we're looking for that, and we're finding that slowly.
Well, your dad was here and his teammates. Did they bring some of that energy to the team this week?
Definitely, man. My dad been in my ear all week about his boys coming in town, and he said, you got to make your dad proud. So I'm glad I got that pick for him and did what I did. Shout out to all my uncles that came today.
Yeah, Joey Porter Sr. was there, and he was very, very involved in all the activities this weekend. He wanted to see his son make a play, and he did today. You see his numbers: 7 tackles, 3 passes defensed, an interception, plus 1 sack on the day. We talked a lot about Duggar, but he comes in. How hard is that for a player? You know, you've been around a few teams. How hard is it to step in and learn something that quickly?
Man, not just stepping in, the communication, right? Pre-snapping, you're playing at safety. This isn't D-line where it's not a lot of chatter or you're more so just focused on winning your one-on-one. At safety, you have to know what everybody in front of you is doing and how quickly things happen when we're talking about from a passing perspective, running routes and the communication pre-snap versus post-snap. So that's why you hear them so just praising him in the manner that they're doing it, not just Coach Tomlin. You've heard Aaron Rodgers. You heard Highsmith, TJ Watt. All of these guys are identifying that because it is extremely challenging to do. But the coaching staff did an excellent job in terms of making sure that he was up to speed. And Jalen Ramsey sounds like he also took on a lion's share of the communication and making sure that Duggar would be up to speed. And I know just from my perspective watching it, you could see a lot pre-snap where the communication was there from Ramsey, making sure that Duggar was aligned right. And Duggar did a good job of being a professional. And that's what you want to see right there. Guys understanding that, hey, I'm not going to have all of the variables perfect for me, but show up and get the job done. And that's what they did.
Yeah, and he accepted this role. He once was a high-paid guy. Now, you know, being traded to a team midweek like this, and he got a game ball on his first game as a Pittsburgh Steeler. That had to feel good. Let's hear from Kyle Duggar on his first game with the Steelers.
I think it had everything to do with my coaches, the coaches in the team, and my teammates. You know, kind of making things kind of the terminology as far as like what I used to play and just kind of matching it up and marrying it up for me and just kind of simplifying it in meetings and then communicating on the field in practice. Every rep counted, you know, and just putting in a ton of work and talking to them every play and things like that made it simple for me.
Saw Jalen talking to you out there on the field, and then when you went to the sideline, Juan would come over and help you. How did those two guys kind of really help you pick up this defense quickly and play?
It was everything. Like I said earlier, my teammates, and that's kind of what I was talking about. Every play, talking, practice was the same way. Talking, communicating, explaining things, play to play. Before the snap, we get the call. We're going over, what we got to do and things like that. And communication is the key to great defense and great team. So
now that you've played a game with these guys, what's your thoughts on this defense and your new team?
It's a special defense. I'm ecstatic to be a part of it. Seriously, so I'm just happy to be here.
Yeah, he's happy, and they're happy to have him now after what we saw today. Another guy who's happy is Jack Sawyer. Now, he made an interception, first career. It's going to be tough to be an outside linebacker on a team that has Watt and Nick Herbig and Alex Highsmith, but here he is, and he's making plays. Limited snaps potentially, but he was very noticeable. In fact, Mike Tomlin referred to him earlier as a five-star guy. Here's Jack Sawyer.
Yeah, I just came off the edge, and I was telling Payton, by the time I picked my head up, I heard the crowd, and as soon as I picked it up, the ball was just in my face. So, was fortunate enough to make the play, and thankfully Payton got a hand on it, or else, who knows. But, I think it was just a good team win, and happy to get out here with a W.
This team hasn't caused any turnovers in 3 games now. You had 6 today.
Yeah.
How do you do that? How do you turn that around?
Yeah, that's our identity. TJ strip sacking quarterbacks and recovering at the same time, and interceptions, big plays. That's who this defense is. That's who the Pittsburgh Steelers are. And I think we just all kind of had to hit a reset and go out there and reestablish ourselves.
What was the difference today? Because TJ mentioned that you guys were a little more aggressive, and he thought that was the key.
Yeah, I just thought the key was getting back to who we were and playing with aggression and having fun and celebrating as a team, and obviously when turnovers happen, they come in bunches. So it was really cool to see and be a part of.
What was the message? What was the message in the focus in practice and in the locker room this week?
Yeah, just that. We got to come out and play our brand of football and have fun and let loose and let it fly. Don't overthink too much and trust your instincts. Read your keys and then go out there and let it fly and let it all hang out, like I was telling him. And I think we did that, and it shows in the turnovers that we had.
You feel a little bit better doing it against the best offense in the NFL?
Yeah, absolutely. Jonathan Taylor and those guys have been playing out of their minds. Being able to do it against them, really, should spring us on to, continue those type of performances.
He has the DNA to be an outside linebacker on the Pittsburgh Steelers. You can see it. You don't see him all that much, but when he does get in there, he makes a play. Coming up, Cam Hayward. You're going to hear from him. And also, we're going to look down the road, or look ahead anyway, and see what lies ahead for the Steelers as they move to 5-3 atop of the AFC North. It's all yet to come right here on KDK+.
Welcome back to the Ford Steelers Extra Point.
Along with Arthur Moats, I'm Bob Pompiani. It's now time to take a look at the NFL scoreboard, some of the games played earlier today and how they impacted the Steelers in the standings. One of them we talked about, Cincinnati had a lead. Joe Flacco brought him all the way back. And then all of a sudden, with less than a minute left, the Bears have to score a touchdown, and they do. And they beat Cincinnati 47-42 in that game. Flacco almost 500 yards passing, 4 touchdowns, but the Cincinnati defense continues to falter. Chargers, who the Steelers play next week, beat the Titans. They had to come from behind to do it. Broncos squeak one out. Broncos are good. They got a great defense. They beat Texans today. And you see the Vikings there. J.J. McCarthy back, and he gave them a little boost as they beat the Lions in Detroit. That's a big game.
Yeah, very interesting one right there. Absolutely. But Cincinnati, once again, 30-plus, this time 40 points. Whew. Why did they trade Joe Flacco? Why?
It doesn't help, though, when your defense gives up 50 points, and that's exactly what they're faced. All right, Cam Hayward had a big game, that whole defensive line. In fact, the defense in general set the tone with all these turnovers. Let's hear from number 97 right now.
I don't know about the first read. I just thought we took away the run game. It allowed us to, make them feel uncomfortable and go to their passing game early. Even if they picked up a lot of yards on first down there in the pass, we were able to mitigate the run and, have 11 guys really focused in on that.
They haven't played from behind a whole lot. Do you feel like the game changed when you get those 2 turnovers, 2 touchdowns in the second quarter there and made them chase you a little bit?
Yeah, I think the turnovers played a huge factor. We got pressure early, and, we really, put our foot on the gas with that. When you do that, it makes the team one-dimensional, and it felt like they were just playing hurry up the entire game.
I know you probably say you play week to week, but was it nice to get this one just to get that good feeling back?
Yeah, to go 1-0 this week is all we're asking for, and that's what I told the guys. now we got to reset it, go on to the Chargers. But after the last 2 games, you just want to clean up your play and be a lot better. And I thought we had a lot more energy.
Steelers Nation, what a night. What a performance. This wasn't just a win. This was a statement. This was the kind of game that reminds the entire league, don't sleep on the black and gold. The Pittsburgh Steelers just took down the best offense in football, the mighty Indianapolis Colts, and they did it with heart, grit, and that legendary steel curtain energy that defines this franchise. Final score, 27-20, and every one of those 60 minutes felt like a fight for redemption. Let's talk about the tone this team set. Right out the gate, things weren't looking great. Rodgers started slow, and the Colts came in fast and heavy, striking first with a touchdown that had many fans holding their breath. But you could feel it building. This wasn't going to be a game of submission. This was going to be a war. And who answered the call first? T.J. Watt, the heart of this defense, the engine. When he stripped Daniel Jones and recovered that fumble, it was like he lit a fire under this entire team. From that moment forward, it wasn't just defense, it was domination. 6 total turnovers. Yes, 6. Payton Wilson, a rising monster in this linebacker core, read plays like a seasoned vet, tipping passes, making key tackles, and grabbing his own takeaway. And then you've got Jack Sawyer jumping in with a fumble recovery, Keanu Benton and Hy Smith stacking sacks, Joey Porter Jr. closing the door with a late-game interception to seal the win. This defense wasn't playing football. They were making a statement. The Colts were 7-1 coming into this game, and the Steelers made them look ordinary. But don't let the defensive fireworks blind you to the fact that this offense, while not flashy, got the job done when it mattered. Jaylen Warren was a wrecking ball with 2 rushing touchdowns. Calvin Austin kept drives alive. Rodgers, he didn't put up insane numbers, but he was clutch when he had to be. He led the offense, stayed calm, and trusted his guys. That final kneel down after the onside recovery, that was a moment of glory, of exhale, of saying, we earned this. And let's talk implications, Steelers Nation. This wasn't just a good win. This was a turn-the-corner win. This was the kind of victory that can change the course of a season. After a rough patch and heavy criticism from analysts, the Steelers showed the NFL they're still in the hunt. The AFC North is tight. Every win matters. And beating a team like Indy, that sends a message loud and clear. This team just reminded us who they are. They reminded the NFL what it means to wear that black and gold. And now it's on us, the nation, to rally behind them, to believe, to keep the energy high. So here's the question I want to hear from you. Was this the game that proves the Steelers are playoff bound? Do you believe this defense can carry us into January and beyond? Let me know in the comments. Smash that like button if you're proud of this team, and subscribe to Steelers Nation Wire for full breakdowns, reactions, and everything black and gold. We're riding this wave together, and I promise we're just getting started. Let's go, Steelers.